You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Good afternoon, good evening. Where are we? Danny's got afternoon. Good afternoon, guys. Good evening. Welcome to TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle. Great to have you with us. Great week of college football coming up. We had an exciting week 0, and we'll be talking about all the games. We got wall-to-wall football starting tomorrow night, right through Labor Day night. Danny, I got your comment up. I can't pick, National Streaming Sports has gone into a relationship with Bet Us. Guys, if you bet responsibly. I bet within my means. I give my picks here. Take it for what it's worth. I'm not, if I could win every bet, if I could win 3 out of 4 bets, I wouldn't be doing anything except that. And there's a QR code that we'll get. Again, I am not, I'm not a big fan of Michael Vick either, but it's one of the things. I gave Mac some honest feedback on BetUS, and listen, it's these sites are what they are. They give you some pretty good deals, as you saw when you go in. Go to Northeast Streaming Sports webpage, as you saw there, and you can, you get some free money to wager with. So, and I'm in there. I'm going to check it out and do some wagering on there this weekend, little stuff, see how it is. I gave some honest critique to Mac about that. I know that, I actually let him know that some people weren't happy with their choice of a, is it spokesman? I don't know. He didn't speak. So what we can make up, I'm going to do another commercial without Mac. Mac McGrath did the voiceover for that, but I'm going to put my own together when I have some time. And if we're able to kind of tailor that a little bit, we will, not to be too critical of our new sponsor. But that's probably one thing. Plus, you got to have an app, by the way. You need a phone app. Every place has got a phone app. You got to have a phone app. So anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to all the sports. We got a lot to talk about. We'll talk about week 0, Florida State upset. I called the cover, and I said it would be close. I thought Florida State would win. I don't think Florida State's season's over. We'll get into that. We'll get into this week's games. There's no change in the top 25 because it's week 0, so there's only one top 25 team playing. New Mexico was better than we expected. SMU had to stage a roaring comeback in the fourth quarter to stave off a big upset. But we'll look at some of those and listen. We'll look at the games this weekend. There's a lot of big games for week 1. Huge game for Notre Dame. We had a little conversation about Michigan as well earlier on the National Streaming Sports Show. So we'll get into all of that. Let's see who's with us so far. Danny did say I'll put his comment back up. I'll find a way to see if we can get a different version of the promo because, again, I'm able to not the biggest fan in the world of the aforementioned Mr. Vick, but it is. AC's with us. AC was, we've talked about last week. AC jumped on my Notre Dame pick. I up my because I got some free money. Free money on a betting site. You know, when you got it, you got it. So I now have 300 a $300 wager. Only 100 of that is my own money, but I am putting my money where my mouth is on Notre Dame to win the national championship, plus 2,200 across the board there. So that's a $6,600 score. We'll be happy to do that. That's smart though, guys. Again, I only bet 300 on the future. I don't bet 300 on futures because I got free money. Anyway, Steve Opello up in Perth. Good evening. Good to have you with us. AC loves some football. We're going to have some football tonight. Chris F. Grave, thank you. By the way, Chris, I just opened my mail. We came home. If you don't know the story, had some hail damage a couple of weeks ago on my birthday to my car, which we thought was going to be minimal. They totaled it. They didn't want to pay us to fix it. So that car is now gone. We brought home a new car. We're a Compass family, so I now have a 2022, and my wife has a 2024. Red and blue now, so I have the red car now. My gray baby went away. So anyway, I got home, Chris, and I opened my mail quick before I came downstairs to jump on the National Streaming Sports Show, and I want to thank you. Chris sent me a nice little gift of some baseball cards, and there's some big names in there. I'm sure you checked it, whether they're worth any money. I'm not a trader anyway, Chris. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate the thought. Now Chris knows where I live, and you know I don't know about these Toronto guys. From the 50-yard line, it's time for college football. Let's see what Bathroom Bob's curiosities can bring up. Chris has been tasked, as I say, pretty much in a lot of our shows, with coming up with some off-the-wall information. AC only bet sports. I only sports bet to kill time waiting for the poker table to open up at the casinos. There you go. AC and I talked about this. He plays up to Turning Stone. I used to go up there and play in the Hold'em tournaments more often than not. Who knows? I might have sat at a table with AC at one point 10 years ago. Danny says, I've tried to pick the college and pros on your site, but errors keep popping up. I haven't made any picks yet, Danny, so I'll go check it out. I know with the college, I know you should be able to make picks by now. I think there might be a time where it's too early to pick. I'll go through and make those picks as well, and I probably want to put those up in the. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to get to. Let me just get to the page and then I can go in there a little bit later. I'll check it out for you, Danny. Do me a favor and send me a message on, if you would, on Messenger, just so I remember to do this. After the show tonight, I'll go in there and try to do it. And if you're not in, guys, go to TGI Sports Talk. I'm going to put the links in here. We've got a pro pick'em, just for fun, just for bragging rights, and I've got a college pick'em as well, and I'll put them in the chat here. Actually, let me do it right now since we're talking about it. I don't know what the problem could be, but we'll check it out for you, Danny. It's funny. ESPN can be a little goofy every now and again. That's Drew's. I don't want to send you to Drew's. Drew might get mad at me. Oh, not adding another entry. I should have made it one entry per person, but what are you going to do? Not a big deal. So this is the pick to, this is for the NFL, which I'll put up, even though this is our college football show. Now I got to remember to get to your comments here, because these are going to come up like 3 or 4 times, because it's because of the way we share this show. So now let me get to the college, and then we'll move on, and we'll talk actual college football. Where the hell is it? There it is, college football. All right. This is really exciting stuff, right? Anyway, we'll check it out for you, Danny. I apologize for whatever issues. ESPN sometimes can be pretty screwy. Thursday will be interesting with all the talk about Dion and the columnist. You know, Deion's been battling with the press all year. The thing is, there's less hoopla surrounding Colorado this year, and I think the expectations are lower. I went through their schedule last week. I've got them 4-8 at best, maybe 5-7, I guess, if things break right. But is that good enough? You're Deion Sanders. You come in there with your white cowboy hat, and you think that, and a black cowboy hat. His son's a very good college football player. How will it translate to the pros? I don't know. There's a lot of people projecting him as the number one pick. I don't see it. But he's playing behind an atrocious offensive line. I think Colorado gets buried in the Big 12 this year. I really do. If you need any big-time radio voices for your ad, Danny and I are a phone call away. Maybe we'll have you guys do the ad yourselves, and we'll just cut in some slides for Bet Us. Did I say Bet US before? It's Bet Us. But we might be able to work something out. AC got them so 50 to win 100. That's what. So it's the same bet I made. Yes, plus 2,200 is on $100 bet. So I'm ready to come home with some money. That's going to be what I say, 2,200. That's $6,600, guys. Here's on me, James Martin from National Streaming Sports. James, I know you're on with Sonia a lot. Plug your show, by the way. I know you're doing, I think you still got your show with your guys. If you do, please give me, because I don't think we plugged it here, and I want to be able to do that, especially the guys who come in and have shows. I do it for JB. And by the way, I forgot to mention, before I do this, I forgot to mention everything. Ralph Williams at RW Media, check them out. Sports Corner will be back, and I'll be back on their not their debut show, but their return show on September 3rd. Ralph Williams on RW Media in the Sports Corner, 4 to 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, Eastern time, that is. You can catch them Facebook, YouTube. Go to RW Media and follow them. Good stuff. And some of our favorite sports groups, the Bottom Line Sports with Flo and the gang. Certainly John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, and Ken Krause, another new guy that I'd like to mention, because Ken's been very, we're trying to grow his group. These other groups have really been around and have got a lot of maturity. Ken has only been around a little bit less of time, and does a great job on golf buds and sports of all sorts. So great stuff there. And James, plug your show. So anyway, Keith agrees about James agrees about Notre Dame to win games, but not the championship. Going to be tough, particularly with a longer playoff series. I don't disagree that in the past, Notre Dame has struggled when they've got the big boys of the SEC and, others. But I think this year's different. They were always too slow, not big enough. This is a better team. This is a coach who's maturing. I know Rick. I don't know if Rick's with us, but Rick is not a big believer in Marcus Freeman. That's fair. They brought back the offensive coordinator that was there with Marcus Freeman as a defensive coordinator under Kelly before he hopscotched to LSU to James's team. Coordinator's name is escaping me at the moment, but that will be a big difference. Riley Leonard can be a difference maker, but he's got to be healthy. There's better playmakers. And again, the question will come. I mean, they could be, again, if they run the table, and I do think there's a very good chance Notre Dame runs the table. I think they have 3 losable games, and that's this week against Texas A&M, which we'll talk about in a second. Florida State, but I mean, Florida State struggled. I don't think Florida State's done, by the way, which we'll talk about as well. And USC, but USC, I've got going 5-7, 6-6 at best. Now, maybe that team is better, come the end of the season when they play Notre Dame, but there is a very good chance Notre Dame runs the table this year. Come playoff time, now the problem is they can't get a bye. So to James's point, they've got to strike against them. We talked about this Sunday. You know, that again, Notre Dame, is it fair that only again, it isn't the big schools that get a bye. Boise State, let's just say Boise State or Fresno State or somebody in the Mountain West or Memphis. I talked about this again Sunday. If they're really run the table in a league like the Big 12 or the ACC, maybe more likely, really cannibalizes itself, and the champion comes out of there with 2 losses in the league and maybe 3 overall, which is absolutely possible in the Big 12 and the ACC in my mind. You know, an undefeated AAC team like Memphis or I don't know, Tulane, UTSA. I mean, again, there's a lot of sleepers in those conferences, or Boise State. That's my favorite of the group of 5. I went through my playoff picks last week, and we can certainly do that again this week. And you guys can give me your picks. I went through I don't have my sheet now, though. Thought I found it. Maybe I didn't. We'll look through this stuff as we're talking. It's possible Boise State gets a bye. Let's just say they run the table in the Mountain West. It's possible. The top 4, well, the top 5 conferences get a bye. So Boise State, Notre Dame can't be better than 6. That's my point. Took me long-winded to get there, right? Good grief. How they total call for Hail Day? You know, it's funny. I'll not to belabor this story, but it was a bad. The car was pretty beat up. Certainly drivable. Somebody will fix this car. They'll buy it for salvage. We could have gone and bought it back for salvage. We got $20,000 or so for the car, which is more I would have got in a trade. It's a 2017 Jeep Compass in really good shape, except for hail damage. Had just put 4 brand new tires, got it inspected and changed the oil for $1,300. Also needed a pin on the sway bar. I did take the tires bed, put them on the other Compass before we took it. They took it away. But this guy, the body shop said $4,000 or $5,000, and they're going to lowball you, AC, that we would probably have to take money out of pocket to fix this. Well, the adjuster came and he just kept going and going. He says, I'm at $12,000 right now, and I'm likely going to total this. Because they give us 20 and they think they can get half that money back rather than give us $12,000 or $13,000 for the hail damage. They would have had to peel. I don't know the whole process, right? They need a new hood. They would have had to peel the whole top off, and there's a procedure they do there. And the chrome around the doors was all dented. They would have to take that off, and they have to take the doors off. And there's all this work that had to be done. The tailgate, above the tailgate. So anyway. I spent a lot of years living in Fulton County with cars outside, never had any hail damage ever, without a garage. I got a garage now and have had one for some time. And my birthday was Mother Nature's gift to me. So my wife got a brand new car for her birthday. So Florida State needs to learn how to finish. You know, it's ironic you say that, Carlos, because they didn't get the chance to finish last year. The college football playoff committee took their chance away to finish. Florida State will be still. I'm changing my pick. I've got them winning the ACC, and people are talking about Florida State like their season's over. You learn from this game. You go and you win. They run the table. They win. They'll be in the ACC championship game. I guarantee you. So it's ironic that you say that. DJ, you gets trampled in the comments from last week, but I'll tell you this: he led a very impressive drive to tie the game in the fourth quarter. The Florida State defense was the big problem here. And I know there's going to be Rick will be. I see Rick down here a little bit. Hello, Rick. How are you? We'll talk about the quitters. Well, first of all, if they hadn't gotten screwed, they wouldn't have quit. And second of all, don't root against this team because those quitters are long gone. They're not here anymore. And I agree with you 100%. Those guys should have played in the playoff. And you can't tell me, again, they should not. They should have gotten a chance to play. So, in any event, and don't tell me, I said this before, when they get killed against Georgia, which they did, don't tell me that's why they didn't go to the playoff. I don't care if everybody played and that happened. They deserve to go. I don't want to get into old news. We got a you might have been dealing cards to me. I was looking for, an inside straight. And somebody took care of me. I miss playing cards. I don't play in person. I play online where there's a bunch of guys that get together and play online. In the wintertime. Summertime, we haven't played much, but we'll play almost every Saturday night. Georgia Tech can get confidence and start messing up some predictions. Listen, I said before last week, I didn't think they'd beat Florida State, but Georgia Tech's been getting better since Brett Keith took over this team 2 seasons ago in the middle of the season from Jeff Collins, I believe. He's done a very good job of rebuilding this team, bringing in the quarterback from Texas A&M. Why is his name escaping me here all of a sudden? Don't do that to me, God. Everybody knows Keith's got no brain these days. Haynes King, again, heralded at Texas A&M and kind of failed. He played very well, I thought, but the running game to me was the difference. I mean, they ran for 190 yards. Georgia Tech, and I've said before, the ACC has got a bunch of sleepers. That's the problem, though. The ACC is going to beat each other up. Where's my stand? Where's my here? I got all these schedules open. I don't have. There's the scores. Oh my God! Let me do this one. I lost my standings page. The ACC. I still think Florida State wins this conference. I said it before. I think they'll be in the championship game. The question is going to be who they're going to play. Clemson's got a big game against Georgia. Not a conference game, obviously. There are no divisions, so no weak teams get in. Huge point in college football this year. ACC, SEC, Big Ten. No more divisions. There's no more 3-loss teams getting in or from a different division or 4-loss teams getting in. The best 2 teams are going to play. But you got sleepers in this conference, I think, all around. You got Louisville. Jeff Brom's done a great job there. You got Miami, who, again, I don't want to be fooled because they've been ranked too high before to start a season. But it's time. They've got Cam Ward in there, and they've also, it's time for Marco Cristobal to get something done. NC State, Grayson McCall, very veteran quarterback, has played in some great offenses at Liberty and Coastal Carolina. They'll be sleepers. I think Syracuse is sleepers this year. Coach Brown, and don't forget McCord coming in from Ohio State to stabilize that quarterback position. I think I went through the schedule. I've got Syracuse winning possibly 9 games. They're a sleeper. Virginia Tech, I don't know about. And I think that's probably it. We'll talk more with I didn't get a chance to get with Larry this week to get on, Larry Sorensen from Wake Forest, but we'll have him in next week and talk more about that. But this conference is wide open, and this is why they may have trouble getting more than one team in, and it's why they also, the champion, may not even get a bye. Just saying. Your picks went in at Turning Stone. Would you bet, Rick? And how much were they, Georgia? I'm sure. There we go. There's Check the links out, guys. I'm not sure if the links, hopefully they work in the comments. They don't, I can't see that they work because once I posted it, I can't. I hope there's a hyperlink with that. If there's not, go to TGI Sports Talk and look, scroll through the feed and you'll find both of these. We want to get as many guys in as we can. And let me know if anybody else has gotten in, if they've had trouble putting picks in. I haven't put my picks in yet. I have to because tomorrow night we got games. So there's all the. Oh, Crouch just left him on the national streaming sports show. Bo, also, I told James, put something in the comments so we can promote your show. Bo's on national streaming sports pretty much every day. I think at noontime with Jamie Pags. Promote that show a little bit if you want. But Bo, who's from the Northwest. I think you're in Seattle. I'm not sure. I know you're a Seattle fan, Bo. I'm curious. I think you're from Seattle, though, or near it. But Bo's curious about the Huskies and what the Huskies are going to look like this year. Not great, obviously, but there are many new pieces, including Jed Fitch, who, by the way, did a tremendous job turning around a moribund Arizona team and nearly won the Pac-12 last year, got into the championship game. He worked wonders. He brought some players with him, and they've got to replace like an unprecedented number of players. I want to say 20 of the 22 starters are gone, either to the NFL or transferred out. That might be unprecedented in the history of college football. I don't have any facts to back that up, but I think he's got his work cut out for him his first year in the Big Ten. But Jed Finch, former quarterback coach of the New England Patriots, by the way, has done a great job. Got off to a slow start at Arizona the last 2 years. He got better and better and better. So maybe they struggle this year, Bo. That team will not be down for long. My God, how come I got so many posts in there? That's what I hate about when I put a comment in, it goes in like 7 times. Neil Bush is with us, big South Carolina fan. Big 12 is a tough conference. Big 12 is going to be a fun conference. And my worry would be similar to the ACC, Neil, is that they will beat each other up all season. And there's a possibility of a group of 5 team running the table. Going undefeated is not easy. We know this. But running the table and sneaking in and getting that 4th bye ahead of either the ACC or the Big 12, because you've got a 2-loss conference champion with 3 losses maybe overall. Something like that could happen this year. You see a Boise State, there's a Memphis. I mean, even if those teams go, 11-1, and you've got a 9-3 champion in the ACC or the Pac-12 or Big 12, excuse me, that could play some havoc here. I think Boise State gets in and wins a game, by the way. I really do. That's my team for the group of 5. But the Big 12, again, we talked about this before, Neil. There's at least 7 teams that could finish first between anywhere from 1st to 7th. Arizona, you got to put in there, even though they lost a lot as well with Jed Finch leaving. They had a few kids that have transferred out. Iowa State, even though they've been inconsistent under Matt Campbell the last few years, I think they have a chance to, again, they could finish first. They could finish 7th. Certainly Kansas State, both well-coached teams. Leopold and Klein, very good coaches. Kansas State having to replace Will Howard. I was reading an article today, by the way. I talked about Will Howard, and I think him really being a good choice for Ohio State. But now that I'm reading talk that he was politely asked to leave Kansas State. Anyway, that's 4 teams. Is that 4 or 5? Actually, it's 5. Arizona. I got to start over here. Arizona. Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy, great defense. it's funny how this is flip-flopped. They were always had great offenses, and their defense was suspect. Their defense has been great the last few years, and the offense has killed them. So Mike Gundy, that's 5. Utah, 6. West Virginia, 7. They'll be better than you think. And I'm going to slide UCF in there. With KJ Jefferson playing in Gus Malzahn's offense, I think watch out for UCF as a sleeper in this league. I like Utah to win this conference, though. Does Colorado really have that? No, I don't believe that Colorado's got the talent level anywhere but quarterback and defensive back. I mean, they may have the best quarterback and best defensive back in the country. But the problem is, in the trenches, they're not good. And I don't think the skill position players around Shooter Sanders are good enough. And somebody else might have some different thoughts on that, but that's my problem. They aren't deep enough. They got maybe the best 2 players on each side of the football. They could have the best players in the country. But you need depth, and you got to be good in the trenches, and they just are not. I think they struggle big time. James says Deion has always had charisma and bravado, and that has brought him to heights in both his playing and his young coaching career. Absolutely agree. That said, he has the win to shut up the media. Yeah. I mean, he can spar with them all he wants. And again, I'm not sure that you can actually win consistently. Now, he might be able to catch lightning in a bottle the way he wants to do this with transfers and turning over, 50 to 75% of the roster year in and year out. But you need to go sit in these kids' kitchens and living rooms with their parents and recruit. That's what makes stable programs. That's why Nick Saban was so great. And you have coaches that are, your recruiters, don't get me wrong. And Nick Saban's going to be a closer, was a closer. Kirby Smart, the same way. Those programs will be strong, have been and will be strong going forward because they recruit, and there's just depth upon depth upon depth. I mean, they're so deep that when they're 10-2, we think they had a bad season. You could say that about Clemson at one point. Clemson has gone too far into the recruiting's all we'll do. They don't believe in the transfer portal. That's why they've got left behind a little bit. I mean, you don't read about Alabama and Georgia in the transfer portal, but they're there. Not to the extent of a Lane Kiffin or Deion Sanders or even Ryan Day now. Ryan Day's under tremendous pressure. He's got 2 of the best transfers probably this year, and Caleb Downs, the defensive back from Alabama. Actually 3. Will Howard and the running back from Ole Miss, whose name I can't think of at the moment either. But you can't do it just one way today. You've got to have a balance of strong recruiting, smart transfer portal, and now you got to have you got to have a cap man, just like the NFL, basically, to spend your $21 million that you can use for recruiting and manage the NIL piece. Chris chimed in on James's show the other night. He's too shy. Tell him to promote his show. Let me put it up here, James. I don't know. I always forget because, again, there's so many things going on in this head that I can't keep them straight. I forget when you're on. James is on pretty much all the national streaming sports shows that I guest on. Wednesday nights, Friday mornings. I think maybe I haven't seen you on Friday mornings, but Sunday mornings in the big football show. But James does his own thing with some of his guys as well. And he does do some stuff. So thank you for promoting him. And JB at the Back It Up Binge podcast has some great stuff. And you too, Bo. Give me your information, because especially the guys that come in. I like to promote the groups that allow me to share, like I did at the top. Some of them I have an agreement with to do so, and we go back and forth, right? But anybody comes in here and contributes like JB does, like Bo has tonight, like James does, I'm going to promote them in whether it's their groups or shows. So anyway, JB's with us. Not good. We'll do this. I'll do this again. Here's the thing. I think I called this team, I believe, 5-7 last week. We went through their oops, they're in the Big Ten. Where are you going, Keith? The Big 18. You think never mind. Right now they're ranked 23rd, which I think if there's two teams in the country that I can tell you that are overrated at the moment, it's USC and Michigan. Here's their schedule. You tell me where I'm wrong, JB. LSU in Vegas this Sunday night. Should be a good game. They lose. LSU. Yes, James. LSU wins this game. They'll beat Utah State. That's one. They're going to go to Michigan. Right now, I'm going to call that a loss. They're going to play Wisconsin at home. I think they lose that game. They beat Wisconsin. I'm sorry, they beat Michigan. Boy. Whew. They win at Minnesota. There, I got it out. They lose at home to Penn State. I'll give them a win at Maryland, although I don't think it'll be easy. They're going to beat Rutgers at home. They're going to lose at Washington. They're going to lose to Nebraska at home. I have them losing to their arch rival UCLA and losing to Notre Dame. That's actually 4-8. I'll give them another win. Right? I'll give them Wisconsin at home, maybe. Or I'll give them a win at Michigan. Maybe. One of those places. So I'm going to say 5-7. You might sneak a 6-6 in here. Best I can hope for right there. I'm sorry, JB. Lincoln Riley is on one of the hottest seats in the country right now. He needs to turn this around. He's got to replace the number one pick in the draft. He's got to fix a defense that he's never proven he can pick a guy that will fix that defense. Stuck with Alex Grinch way too long. I just don't think they have a good team. Neil thinks NC State wins the ACC. Not overrated Clemson. I think North Carolina State will be one of the teams in play to play in the championship game. I think Florida State still wins this conference. I think they claw their way back. I think they win enough games to get into the championship game and win. And I've got them getting a bye still. I'll stick with my pick from last week. Florida State with the 4th seed in the playoff. NC State's got a real chance of being really good. Grayson McCall is a very good quarterback, and he's been around. I got to believe it's like his fifth, or he's at least his 5th year. He might be a 6-year senior. Good stuff, guys, tonight. 2-time Super Bowl champion Nate Washington turns 41 today. Nate came out of Tiffin. See, Chris always finds a way to put the college spin on this, which is fine. You know, we do stray off a little bit sometimes, but when we can bring it and tie it to the college theme, I'm more than happy. Now, he came out of Tiffin College, which you got to tell me where they play. Good school, Tiff. It's also produced Chris Ivory and Joaquin Hardy. Where the hell is Tiffin College? Oh, that's a good one, Chris. He never disappoints me. Tiffin University in Tiffin, Ohio. It's a private university. Oh, doesn't tell me anything about their sports programs here. I'm assuming this is who we're talking about. God bless them. Tiffin University. What level they play at, Chris? South Carolina has an easy game, not a brutal schedule. Neil, I'll go through your teams because I like to do this while we have the opportunity. Let's do this. Especially when guys are here, I'm happy to go through their schedule and we pick their winners. South Carolina, really good coach. Shane Beamer's a really good coach, right? I think, Neil, you agree with me. Losing Rattler, big loss. The kid matured a lot, even though they were worse last year than they were when in his junior season or his previous season. I don't know if I can call these guys juniors and seniors anymore. He matured, I think, a lot, and he could be a sleeper in the NFL for James's team, the New Orleans Saints, at some point. But let's take a quick look. It's just the problem for South Carolina. South Carolina. Well, all these teams, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Florida, trying to rebound. Auburn. This league is so good, so good. I know I spent a lot of time arguing with John DeLon that there's great football played elsewhere, and there is. This league is just loaded. So you got to win against Old Dominion. I got to give you a loss against Kentucky. I love Kentucky at home. Loss against LSU, very tough. You get a win against Akron. I think you lose to Ole Miss. I think you lose to Alabama. Alabama's going to be getting really good by the middle of October. I think they struggle out of the gate, but Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach, and I do think Alabama makes the playoff as an at-large. I think Georgia wins that conference, as I said. So can you win at Oklahoma? I do think Oklahoma might be a bit overrated. Still not sold on Brent Venable. But on the road, that's tough. I can't give you a win. I'm going to let you sneak one out against Texas A&M, although I think they're going to be much, much, much better under their former defensive coordinator, this year. They're going to lose to Notre Dame this week, though. I'm going to give you a win against Texas A&M at home. I'll give you a win at Vanderbilt. You're going to lose to Missouri. It's a really good team. You beat Wolford, and you lose to Clemson. It looks like a 5-win season, Neil. Now, again, you could squeeze another one out of there and get 6-6 and be bowl eligible. Actually, we need to get rid of some of these bowls so some 5-7 teams are not getting in. But you got your college picks in? Okay. So, I don't know. Danny, if worse comes to worse, we'll have you put another pick in. Do me a favor, though, and restart your computer, refresh, do whatever you got to do if you haven't done those things, and see if that works. Neil got his picks in. So Bo's up there in Seattle, Coast to Coast Sports. There you go. 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And I believe is Pags is your regular co-host, and is McLovin. I forget his name. Used to do another show on Northeast Streaming Sports, but I know he's in some of the time when I watch you guys. I don't know if he's on all the time, but great show. They do some great stuff, guys. Really good stuff. Bo knows his stuff. You know, Pags. Pags is a bit over the top sometimes, but Pags knows his sports. The only place he really kind of loses it a little bit is when it comes to, Philadelphia sports. And, I'm sure he's got the Eagles going 17-0 this year. There we go. James is promoting his show. Prim and Proper Sports Friday night with the fellas. There you go. At 9 a.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern, excuse me. I think it's on Friday nights. There you go. Sonia Pearson. Well, that's not the fellas. Sonia's got a bunch of shows. She does some great stuff. And James came in, I believe, at a national streaming sports universe through Sonia. I'm going to guess. And James has done some great stuff. I've given James some high praise We had some fun when we did that debate show on a Saturday morning. We got screwed that day, by the way, James. We won that debate against Mac and Jack for sure. I know you know that, and the good doctor has got to make up for that one someday. But James is doing some great stuff. So this is Sonia, James, J Train Martin, Anthony A Train Fernandez. There's a lot of trains in this show. Be careful, guys. And Kevin Kevo Davis. Check it out right here on National Streaming Sports Roku channel, and Sonia I know also has, I believe, Facebook and I think YouTube presence. I'm not sure. Well, the National Streaming Sports still has your YouTube access as well, guys. If you don't have those Roku channels downloaded, watch it. I see Paul Spada here. I'll say hi to you, and I see your comment coming up, but I'll put it up in a second. James said it's. Seeing my head that big on his TV is a little scary, but I understand. Nick Bodkins. So you're in Missouri. I believe, Nick, aren't you in Missouri? Missouri, as my good friend Mark Littell, the late great Mark Littell, gave up that big home run to Chris Chambliss in the '76 ALCS. Was a great one. He's one of the early guests I had on my one-on-one interview show. Gosh, I don't know how many years ago it was now. And we had so much fun. I had so much fun with Mark, and he sadly passed away here. Geez, maybe a year ago. Maybe it was almost a year and a half ago. Had some complications from what was going to be a fairly simple surgery, but Mark taught me how to say Missouri. Nick, don't you live in Missouri and you're a Hawkeye fan? I don't know how your Hawkeyes are ranked 25th and haven't scored an offensive touchdown in 2 years. Nick's it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not a lot. We used to, one of the most fun things we did on this show last year, Nick, is I continued every week to track Kirk Friend's son. Gosh, what was his name? Todd. It wasn't Todd, was it? But he was the offensive coordinator, and he had been put on a stipulation. He almost lost his job as the offensive coordinator the year before, and they said they had to average 25 points a game to keep his job. Well, we kept an ongoing a tabulation kind of week after week of what the average of the Iowa scores were. A lot of the games weren't 25 points scored in the whole game by both teams. Look at Kirk Friends is a really good coach. He's one of the longest tenured coaches in football, college football right now. He might be the longest. He's had some really good teams. He's been a good, consistent coach. He puts good, consistent teams on the field. They normally play really good defense and really good special teams. But they haven't been able to find a quarterback. McNamara came in last year. They had great hopes. I believe he's lost his job this year, if I'm not mistaken. Nick, you might be able to straighten me out on that. The last I heard, he was in danger of not being the start. And how does a guy, if you are in Missouri, and I'm wrong, if you're not in Missouri, you can straighten me out. Maybe you're in Iowa, and I just don't know my geography at all. I've got to tell you this, though, Nick. I believe I asked you about that cold water plunge you do. And I've seen a lot of it on Facebook recently, and I am going to invest. Did you buy one of those? I don't know. There's a whole, you can buy really fancy ones for $1,000, $1,200. You can buy a decent one, it looks like, for $200 or $300. Or you can probably just buy a freaking, 50-gallon drum and cut it in half. Did you buy something? I'm really curious. Because I think I'm going to do this. I've read a lot of great things about the health benefits, and I want to preserve, for that, worm who lives in his mom's cellar who has a problem with my head. I want to preserve this body and head for a long time. 64 years old. I want to go another 64 years. I don't know what I'm doing. JB joined the picks group. Good. Seemed to work okay. Which one that you were in the pro? I think Danny had trouble with both. So I'm going to guess there's something going on there, Danny. So if you're still with me, reboot. Don't do it now so you miss the show. But afterwards, reboot and let me know if you get in. So far, nobody else has said they've had a problem. I haven't tried yet, but I will either tonight or tomorrow morning. Which one are you in, by the way, JB? The pros or the college or both? And we'll update those college rankings every week here on the show as well. And we'll on Sundays we'll kind of regroup or recap the pros, and I'll give you my picks. Maybe I should do that. I think I'll do that tonight. Actually, I'll do my picks because they're not all in there, right? I'll do my picks live here tonight, just so you know there's no shenanigans going on. Did you see the Netflix special on Michigan sign stealing? I have not seen it yet, but I will check it out. I mean, as you guys know how I feel about this whole thing, and I don't want to get into. I'm trying to concentrate on stuff on the field, and obviously my life, my car, my cold water therapy. But I haven't seen it. I'm not going to change my opinion, most likely. I mean, again, I'm not saying they never did it. And people think I defend cheaters. I don't. I'm not necessarily defending them at all. It seems to be a common misconception. And my thoughts on this whole thing is the fact that other teams do it, and it's done more often than you think. Right there in the Big Ten, there's plenty of evidence about Ohio State giving information about Michigan's signals to Purdue when they played in the Big Ten championship game. Rutgers doing the same thing. These things are going on everywhere, guys. And if you don't think so, you got your head buried in the sand. And the NCAA has forever done very selective prosecution. They had enough of Jim Harbaugh. They don't like him. He's not, whatever. People don't like Jim Harbaugh. You know what he is? He's a great football coach. Is he a likable person? Maybe not. But this is much ado about nothing when everybody else is doing the same thing. Anyway, Paul Spada, I said hello to you a second ago, but hi to you. Boston College and as you see behind me, the Boston College home field will debut. They debut against Florida State this weekend, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We'll go through and look at some of those games in just a second. I'm trying to keep up with your comments before I do that. What I'm gonna do is go through the ESPN pick'em, so you have my picks. I won't change them. Now I could bet something else if the spread is different. We only have winners and losers here. So I could bet somebody. I could actually win both ways, just so you know. But Paul's a Boston College fan. Bill O'Brien's debut. Bill O'Brien will turn this program, get this program moving in the right direction. Whether they're going to be ever, and this could be a surprise. We talked about some surprises in the ACC. Listen, Boston College is going to beat some teams they shouldn't beat this year, just like Syracuse. And that's why I think the ACC could potentially put in a champion that is not even going to be one of the top 4 seeds. It's possible. That's the second one. Rattler is underrated and will be a steal in the future. I'm calling it. He will be a first-round draft pick in a redo of the 2024 NFL draft. He is a guy. Listen, I talked a lot about and again, not to go into the NFL too much, but this is kind of college related because it plays to the draft. And James knows what my stance was on the Patriots' third pick. I didn't want Drake May. I wanted Marvin Harrison, and I wanted to later on grab a quarterback like a Rattler, like a Michael Pratt. I'm not sure how Michael Pratt's done in preseason. I haven't really tracked him. They picked Joe Milton in the 6th round. And play Brissett and maybe try to get lightning in a bottle. I like Sean Rattler a lot. Would have been he's a steal for where he is, as James says. And I'm not a big David Carr fan, so you may see Rattler playing sooner than you think there. Scott Kobe, how are you, buddy? Good to have you with us. Scott was all right with me on the Georgia Tech pick last week. Here's three games that Scott's looking at. I like Clemson at plus 14. I don't know if I'm going to bet them yet, but I do like them to cover. I don't like them to win the game. North Dakota State plus 10.5 over Colorado. That's a gutsy bet, and I don't like Colorado. I think this is one of the games Colorado wins. But I'll tell you, those North and South Dakota State teams are often very, very good. Coastal Carolina, Jacksonville State, under 55.5. There's a couple of good picks from Scott. All this gambling has certainly generated some Notre Dames. I gotta read it. My little sleeper team over the last few years could have a bookie for their mascot at this point. I'm going to go through my picks here in a second too. We'll go through the schedule. We barely talked about last week's games. Scott's leaning towards Boston College plus 21 over Florida State. I do like Florida State to rebound in this game. I still like Florida State to win the ACC. In fact, I might put a future bet on that. Might take a look at that on betus.com. Go check that out. Go Oregon. Again, I love Oregon to win the Big Ten this year in their first year. Go BC. BC's going to be better. You just saw Scott pick them plus 21 leaning. I guess it was an official pick. Also a non-college bet. I can't say that. Arena Sablenica to win the Women's U.S. Open. Scott brings some great stuff. Go to betus.com. Actually, go to Northeast Streaming Sports, because if you go and register from the Northeast Streaming Sports website, which you saw in the video, then the National Streaming Sports gets credit for that, and there is some profit sharing to be had. Do your picks. I'm going to do my picks here live in a second. Carlos, message me the links for the groups. I'll do that, Carlos, afterwards. They're right on the site too, and they're in the comments here as well, Carlos. But I'll try to remember to do that. I'll message you on DM to get the links for both colleges. Okay. Actually, Carlos, send me a message so I remember, and I'll get both of you. I'll get both you and Scott the links before I get off my computer here today. It's much easier because I've already got computers open. So we'll do that. Go Oregon football as well. I think you said that, didn't you? I picked Cam Rising because of you, Keith. I love Cam. Utah's going to win the Big 12. Utah's going to be in the playoff and win a game. Pratt will be picked up by the Packers for the practice squad. Thank you for that update, James. I like that. Drake May's very young. He still has a good bit of college experience as long as the Patriots sit him. Listen, here's the problem, and we're not going to get into this because it's not a NFL football show. Drake May needs to sit. Right now, he's probably the best quarterback to have. He's really played. He's really matured. Matured. I got to stop saying that word. He's gotten better all through camp. He's gotten better each preseason game he's played, and he's gotten better certainly the last 3 weeks or so in practice and scrimmages. But the offensive line is a joke, and you can't put him in there because you're setting him up to fail. So we'll talk more about that on the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. So here we go, guys. I'm going to do right now my let me just see if two more guys joined here. Let me just see. Where's my picks? Right here. Keith E's. I didn't even put TGI Sports Talk in here. Number one, And we'll go through the rest of these matchups, some other matchups too. We got Penn State. These are just winners, guys. No points involved here. West Virginia, Penn State. West Virginia will upset Penn State on the road. At home. Been a while since this used to be one of the big rivalries in college football. Realignment messed it up because they couldn't play every year. But West Virginia is better this year. Neil Brown held on to his job, and they improved much last year. And I am not a big James Franklin fan. Now, mostly his stumbles have come against top 10 teams. His record is atrocious. West Virginia is not a top 10 team, but West Virginia is one of those 8 teams in play I told you about in the Big 12. I'll take West Virginia to win this game in an upset. Easy pick here, Virginia Tech for me over Vanderbilt. Since it's only winners, Georgia to beat Clemson, although I think Clemson is, as Scott Colby said, will cover the spread. Oklahoma State, big Mike Gundy fan. We'll take Oklahoma State in that game. Northwestern and Miami. Northwestern, I'll tell you, one of the great coaching jobs in the country last year was done by Coach Brand at North Carolina State Northwestern. With everything that went on there last year, all the bad pub that was surrounding this team from the outset, and he took over the team kind of late. I think they did a great job last year, and I think Northwestern will probably have the similar David Braun. I think I said Brandt. So David Braun, they were 8-5 last year, and I think you may see the similar type season out of Northwestern again. I'll take Miami to beat Florida. Big start for Cam Ward, I think, and Billy Napier gets off to a horrendous start. To probably will be a horrendous season. Just one of the toughest schedules in the country. All those SEC teams have tough schedules, but I'll take Miami in this game. Boise State, easy. Boise State will be my Group of 5 pick for the playoff, and I picked them to win at least one game, maybe 2. The Texas State Mean Green against South Alabama. I'll take North Texas here. And Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, go to College Station and beat Texas A&M. Wyoming and Arizona State. This is a tough pick, but I'll take Arizona State. I doubt they're any good. And I guess in my tiebreaker, which isn't really all that important, I will take 48 points in that. I'm not going to worry about the tiebreakers because we're not really paying anything out. But in case we need it for something, I'll take a tiebreaker. 48 points. I missed a pick. I only got 9 picks in it. Didn't register my Notre Dame pick. There you go. And my picks are auto-saved and I'm in. So it is working, Danny, just to let you know. Both links send me the NFL. I'll get those to you. What else we got here? We got some the Chris Caleb O'Donoghue, the 6 foot. Did I say that right? Caleb O'Donoghue. That looks right. The 6 foot 195-pound quarterback for the University of Toronto is majoring in kinesiology. The great Mike Marshall was the first sports figure that I ever heard the word kinesiology used with. Great relief pitcher back in the 70s. Anyway, he helped the Oshawa Hawkeyes to the OFSL championship. Who the heck are they? Where is that? Oshawa Hawkeyes. And what is the OFSL? Scott? Or Chris? There's CA with us. Good to have you with us tonight. Let's look real quick. I'm going to go through the scoreboard from last week before we get too far ahead of ourselves, and we'll go through some more of the really good schedule this weekend. Lots of good football. We talked about Georgia Tech beating. I don't want the top 25. I want everything. Florida State loses to Georgia Tech. Again, this isn't a season ender. People want to write this off as a season ender. Georgia Tech is a really improved football team. They played 6,000 miles from home, whatever it is, which, again, can have an effect. Georgia Tech handled it better. Florida State will get better. Mike Norvell's a good coach. This team will be better, and I think still win the ACC. New Mexico, who, again, to me was touted as one of the worst teams in the country. I didn't bet this game. I did like Montana State. I think giving up, I think it was 13.5, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, depending on maybe where you're betting it. What I didn't count on, and I should have, was Bronco Mendenhall. This is his second year at New Mexico. Bronco Mendenhall has had pretty good second years at I want to say BYU, Virginia, and I want to say Boise State. I could be wrong on that one, but really good football coach. SMU, the best new team coming into the ACC this year, and one team that could create some havoc. They were a big favorite on the road, 25, 26 points against Nevada. Nevada led most of this game, and SMU had to score 16 points in the fourth quarter to pull this out. You can look at this two ways. SMU's not as good as we thought, and they're going to get beat up in ACC play after coming in from the AAC. Or this is a character builder game. You've got to win some of these games at some point. Good spot to do it. Again, week one could be a couple of things. SMU could set the tone for their season with this comeback win. Florida State, on the other hand, if you're going to lose, you're much better off losing in week 0 than you are losing in week 11 or 12. So they'll fall from 10. They might even fall out of the top 25. I don't know. I think they'll probably be 19 or 20, maybe 18. But still plenty of time to climb back up. I mean, theoretically, they could lose the ACC championship game, have 2 losses, and get a at-large bid. Possible. Hawaii, Delaware State. Hawaii was like I don't know, 30. I want to say 39-point favorite, something crazy. They do win over Delaware State, which is not even an FBS 1 school. So, all right, let's look at the schedule for this week. Some really good games. Thursday night kicks off. Howard goes to Rutgers. I'm not going to pick all these games. I'll pick them all if you want. I'll pick top 25 games. What do you say? Rutgers should beat Howard. NC State opens against North Carolina. We're going to see Rutgers is, by the way, a 36.5-point favorite. I'm not even sure Rutgers can score 36 points, quite frankly. I don't know what to expect out of Rutgers this year. I mean, how excited are are they going to be excited to go out there and with the Big Ten stretching from East Rutherford, New Jersey, all the way to L.A.? Are the Rutgers faithful going to travel to L.A.? Greg Schiano's a good football coach. They had a very competitive team last year. Some people think they'll be much better this year. I can't lay 36.5 for anybody. North Carolina State will have Western Carolina. They're a 32.5-point favorite. You would like North Carolina State to win this game. Wake Forest, big favorite over North Carolina A&T. My sleeper in the Big Ten, UCF, 41-point favorite over New Hampshire. KJ Jefferson gets his debut in Gus Malzahn's offense. I think it's a great fit. UL Monroe against Jackson State. Buffalo and Lafayette. 3.5 points only. Buffalo's not that good. Watch out for Lafayette in this game. Bowling Green, Florida, Fordham, excuse me. Central Michigan against Central Connecticut. Arkansas against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I won't say much here except this is a coach in trouble at Arkansas. Toledo and Duquesne. Toledo had a great year last year, by the way. They should win this game. Probably will cover the 27 points. Missouri. I would expect big things out of a potential. Again, I've got the SEC getting 5 picks into the playoff. Missouri, one of those guys who will be on the bubble for that 12th pick in my mind. CAA likes the Wolfpack. Minnesota and North Carolina. This is one of the better games on Thursday night. Mac Brown under a little bit of duress at North Carolina. They've underachieved really, I would say, the last 2 years. Much more expected of them. Their defense under Gene Chizik did not get much better. I think Minnesota wins this game. Carolina's going in there as a 2-point favorite. I like PJ Flesh. I do think Minnesota will win this game at home. Coastal Carolina. This is the game that Scott said, look at the under. This game's at Jacksonville State. Coastal Carolina, the bloom is off the rose a little bit at Coastal Carolina with Grayson McCall moved on a couple of years ago. Their coach, Chadwell, moved on to Liberty. This remains to be seen whether this will be a good game or not. UAB and Alcorn State. After a tough start, Trent Dilfer got this team playing decent football at the end last year at UAB, so we'll see if that can continue. Tulane, this has been a very competitive team. They've had to replace Fritz, their coach, who went to Houston, Willie Fritz, and we'll see if they can continue their. They've had a pretty good football program the last few years in the American Athletic Conference. Tulsa and North Carolina's Northwestern State. Utah gets Southern Utah to start. Big spread. Utah will win easy. Illinois and Eastern Illinois. Should be a win for Illinois. San Jose State. I believe this is where Coach Ken, I'll never be able to say his name, the former Navy head coach is the new head coach at San Jose State. I would like them to win this game against Sacramento State. They're only a 4-point favorite. Army gets Lehigh to kick things off. Wouldn't it be cool if Army won the American Conference and somehow found a way into the playoff? It's not going to happen. Coach Jeff Monken's a really good football coach. 32 is a lot for Army to lay to anybody, though. These are Friday night games, by the way. Temple and Oklahoma. Oklahoma should roll. Brent Venable under a little bit of stress, I think, in Oklahoma. First year in the SEC, I think he's going to have some issues. Florida Atlantic goes to Michigan State. Only 14-point favorite. That tells you something about Michigan State and where they are kind of ranked this year. Duke will get Elon. Duke's a big favorite in that game. Wisconsin and Western Michigan. Stanford TCU. I think this is an interesting game. TCU is a 9.5-point favorite on the road. Stanford, remember, moving to the ACC last year, has been pitiful the last few years. This was a program that was pretty consistent from Jim Harbaugh through David Shaw's until the last couple of years of Shaw's tenure there. Saturday, some beautiful, fun games. These are not in chronological order, but we get Miami and Florida at 3:30 on ABC. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite. I'm not going to fall into a trap. I don't like Florida at all. I like Miami here. This will not be one of my bets. I'm sure it'll be in our cigar box picks. I will not be betting this game. I'm going to sit down and enjoy it. with a beer. Notre Dame at Texas A&M. A&M a 3-point favorite. I will take Notre Dame to win this game on the road. That will be one of my bets. Clemson here getting 13.5. Scott mentioned 14 earlier. What do you got here? Popcorn. We're eating some popcorn. CA likes the Hurricanes. I'll be rooting for him. I won't bet him. Potentially a bet for me with Clemson. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. That's at Georgia. Georgia wins this game, though. West Virginia gets 8 at home against Penn State. I think West Virginia is going to be a bet for me. And I'll probably pick 6 games because I can. There's no NFL games this week. So I usually bet 3 college games, 3 pro games until there are no college games or early on when there are no pro games. So I'll probably pick 6 games and bet them this weekend. Iowa over Illinois State. Probably all you need to know about Iowa's offense, Nick Bodkins, if you're still with us. They're only a 22-point favorite over Illinois State. Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, a 13.5-point favorite on the road. UConn goes to Maryland. UConn's going to be terrible. And UConn, by the way, back in conversations with the Big 12. They had some conversations with them a few years ago. If they were to go, it would be as a football-only member, I believe. The basketball school is not leaving the Big East for the Big 12. This would be a football move only. Aggies, listen, College Station's a tough place to play. Coach Elko, I think, is probably going to get this team's fortunes straightened out. I just don't think it's this week. I think Notre Dame's going undefeated, guys. Austin P. You, Carlos, if you're still with us, Carlos's alma mater, the Mad New Yorker, Austin P against Louisville. Louisville, a 36-point favorite. Purdue, a 33-point favorite over Indiana State. Kent State, Pittsburgh. Navy, Bucknell. I think both those 2 academies get off to Navy and Army get off to great starts. We'll see where Arizona is here in a second. Not sure. Tennessee against Chattanooga, a big favorite, 38 points. Oklahoma State, 9.5 over the South Dakota State. I might be on Oklahoma State this week. I'm a big Mike Gundy fan, as you know. Cincinnati over Townsend, 30-point favorite. We're not betting any of these 30-point spreads. Washington State loses Cam Ward. No real league to play in. The Pac-12 is the Pac-2. They are still using the Pac-12 logos, and they are Pac-12 teams, but they do not have a Power 5 designation, obviously. Ohio State gets Akron, a 48.5-point favorite. Texas gets Colorado State. If I was going to bet somebody this week, it would probably be Texas minus 32. Somebody would like plus 30, but it won't be. I won't do that probably. Indiana, Florida International. Nebraska, UTEP, too many points. I like Nebraska a lot this year, though. I like Matt Rule. I like what he's done here so far. He's going with the true freshman at quarterback. This team is somebody to watch out for. They'll be tough this year. Watch out for them next year and possibly the year after, or maybe possibly the year after. UMass, one of the worst teams in the country, somehow favored against Eastern Michigan. One of only 3 independents left: UConn, UMass, and Notre Dame. We used to be right with these teams. App State against East Tennessee. Iowa State against North Dakota. Syracuse against Ohio. Maybe a bet. I'm not sure about week 1. I want to lay 17.5, but they're at home in the Carrier Dome. Could be okay. UTSA against Kennesaw State. Air Force, the final armed forces team, will not lose this week either against Merrimack. Northwestern against Miami of Ohio. Possible bet on Northwestern here. I like them minus 3. Northern Illinois against Western Illinois. Boise State gets off to a start, their season off to a start at Georgia Southern, 13-point favorite. It's a game that worries me on the road. I love Boise State. I'd like them to be that representative from the group of 5. Just not sure if I'm willing to lay 13 on the road. We'll see. That'll be a game day situation. South Carolina, we talked about. Neil Bush's team, 21-point favorite against Old Dominion, should win this game. Marshall, big favorite over Stony Brook. Cal, a big favorite over UC Davis. I think Cal and Stanford really struggle in the ACC this year, by the way. Really, really struggle. You stop for a second. Let's see. Game. Let's see. I'd like to give a little shout out to some people that I see that haven't maybe commented. Ashton Nix, I see out there. Tanner's been here. John Gonzalez has been here. Isaiah Hansen's been here. Welcome, all guys. So great seeing all of you here, as well as all of you who have participated tonight. Back to the score. That North Texas against South Alabama. South Alabama is a 5.5-point favorite. This is a North Texas team that has been sneaky good the last couple of years. Whether that's continuing this year, I picked them without the points. Could be a wager. He knows I got 3 extra wagers this week. If I want to take them all, I don't have to take them all. If I don't feel good, I won't. Don't make bets just to make bets. Mississippi State, big favorite against Eastern Kentucky. Liberty, a big favorite against Campbell. You shouldn't be any trouble with the favorites winning those games. Whether they cover is a different story. Virginia against Richmond. Virginia's had a couple of really tough years. It would be nice to see Virginia have a decent year in the ACC this year. East Carolina, big favorite over Norfolk State. Oregon State, the other member of the Pac-2, against Idaho State. Alabama against Western Kentucky. Alabama should roll in their first game. Furman will play Ole Miss. Big favorite again. Kansas State and UT Martin. Arkansas State, Central Arkansas. South Florida and Bethune-Cookman. Baylor and Tarleton State, which I couldn't even tell you what Tarleton State is. UNLV and Houston. UNLV might be one of the most improved teams in the country this year. They're going into Houston, getting a couple points. Houston had struggled last year. New head coach. Could be an interesting game. Could be a potential wager for Keith with the UNLV Rebels. Texas Tech and Middle Tennessee. Rice against Sam Houston. Troy against Nevada. Memphis, who, again, I think Memphis, Boise State, Fresno State, we talked about on the National Streaming Sports Show tonight. These are the teams to watch out for, that group of 5. There'll be a couple of other teams in the Mountain West to watch out for. And some teams in that AAC, but Memphis is a very good team. 38-point favorite over North Alabama. Oregon will roll over Idaho, Paul Spada, easily. Fresno State gets Michigan. This is an interesting game. They're getting 20 and a half or 21s, depending on where you're looking. I'm very tempted to take Fresno State in the points here. Michigan, lots of problems swirling, even whether I think they're BS or not. The issues are there. Moore could be facing a suspension, similar to Harbaugh last year for just drawing texts, and 2 other coaches have kind of turned on the program and turned state's evidence. Michigan, I think, ranked 9th, way overranked. I think they might even finish out of the top 25 this year. We're running out of time here. Alabama A&M against Auburn. Auburn is a 47-point favorite. Again, as much as they're going to be better in the Hugh Freeze, but I'd watch out there. UCLA on the road at Hawaii, -14. Careful there. Texas Tech, big favorite over Abilene Christian. Southern Miss and Kentucky. UK is a 28-point favorite. BYU, Southern Illinois. Georgia State, Texas, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech will win here. Watch out for the letdown game. SMU, Houston Christian. Louisiana, Grambling. What's SMU in this game? No spread? Must be some injuries or something. There's no spread in that game right now. Louisiana Tech, Nichols, San Diego State, Texas A&M Commerce, Utah State, Robert Morris, James Madison. Really good football team, by the way. Going to Charlotte. They're giving up 9.5 on the road. Lamar and Texas State. South Carolina, Southeastern Missouri State against New Mexico State. New Mexico, Arizona. Wyoming, Arizona State. Arizona State, a 7-point favorite there. Washington, minus 27 against Weber State. Then Sunday and Monday, two really good games, I think. USC and LSU. I think LSU wins this game, -4. That could be a wager for Keith. And then Florida State against Boston College. I do think Boston College will be better this year. I think Florida State's going to look to rebound big. And I'd like Florida State minus the 16.5. Could be a wager. Duco would be 127 years old today. I hope to be 134. No, how would I be? 138. No, how old? What's 64 plus 64? 128. I hope to be 128. 64 years from today. Let's say happy birthday. He died terribly young at 39. That's not funny. In 1937 goes to show how old Auburn's football program is. He graduated in 1919 and played one game in the American Professional Football Association in 1920. Good catch. CA says LSU and FSU. I like both those. Those two are probably going to be sure thing wagers for me. I gave a few others, and maybe I'll post them for you guys to see on the TGI Sports Talk page. Any last thoughts, guys? We probably will be getting done here. A couple of notes around the world of college football. Thought I had a couple things I wanted to chat about. I'm probably not going to go long if I don't have to, but if you got any more comments, you get them up there. Big Ten to announce their tiebreakers for their Big Ten title game. I'm not going to dive into that. I just don't. Is it important? Identified 7 steps. Yeah, we're not going to get into 7 steps right now. Deion Sanders has partnered with a bank to open accounts for his players' children. For players' children, excuse me, not his players, not his children. He's banned reporters, as we talked about. He's not billed to hate, but I guess he hates reporters because he banned them from school there. Anyway, happy birthday to Moon Duquette. I think we'll wrap it up here tonight, guys. Great football weekend. Enjoy it. You got a couple of good games tomorrow night. You got a couple of good games Friday. You got a plethora of great games on Saturday. And 2 nice games, especially Sunday night. You're going to get a good gauge of USC, JB, if you're still with me. Sunday night against LSU. I like LSU in that game. And we'll see how it goes. Guys, it's been a great having you with me. Thanks for all your participation. Just a reminder, Friday morning at 9 a.m., my guest will be Ernie D. Gregorio. Ernie D., former great point guard at Providence University under Dave Gavitt, and then a really standout point guard at Buffalo until he hurt his knee. Also played with the Lakers and the Celtics. And then we're struggling right now for guests in September. Working my butt off, but having a very little success so far. But we'll get some guys on, and if we have to take a break for a few weeks, we will. But we're working diligently. Thought I had Rick Barry set up, and he's kind of ghosted me. So I'll be around, and we'll have that. Well, the Major League Baseball update will be on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. I'll send out those invites to the people that asked. Anybody else wants to join, get to TGI Sports Talk and join the college football pick'em and the NFL pick'em. And we'll see you next week with the college football huddle. Keith Engle-We.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs, and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly. You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.